This was the real-life Stewie Griffin, in the small town of Moon City, Rhode Island, October 10, 1954, marked the birth of a baby named Brock Lee. For the first few months, life was ordinary, until an inexplicable man's voice echoed through their house when Brock turned 6 months old. Convinced of a haunting, Pete and Lori sought help from local paranormal investigators, but their efforts yielded nothing. Desperate, they relocated to a new home, but the mysterious voice persisted. During Brock's first birthday party, the family watched a police chase on the news. They chuckled at the striking resemblance between the pursued car and their own. To their disbelief, the chase unfolded into their neighborhood and their baby son Brock would exit the vehicle and run through the front door. He would then bark orders in a manly voice to lock all the doors and windows. As the police entered the home and arrested him, they discovered the extraordinary truth. Brock, the 1-year-old, possessed the intellect of a genius and a fully developed brain. The voice that haunted them for the past year was, in fact, their son's. The tragedy of the greatest surfer of all time. In the late 1980s, Austin Reefer was a well-known and highly talented surfer living in Southern California. He had gained legendary status in the local area known as the Lazy Lagoon. Austin was a laid-back and charismatic individual, loved by everyone who knew him. Austin had always talked about a wave he called the Big One. He believed that this wave, the ultimate challenge, was soon approaching. In the year 1989, his excitement grew, and he would often say, "The big one is near, but do not fear. Fear is fear itself." On the fateful day of June 26, 1989, a storm began to brew on Lazy Lagoon Beach. Lifeguards hurriedly evacuated everyone to safety, but Austin remained adamant about staying, stating he had been waiting for this moment his whole life. As the lifeguard turned to leave, he glanced back and saw Austin in a deep state of meditation. Suddenly, without warning, Austin sprinted towards the roaring ocean with his surfboard. What happened next would leave spectators in shock, building on to his already existing legend. This guy almost ended the world over a girl. In the heart of Concrete City, Delaware, Bill Ding was born on February 30, 1955. He was a prodigious inventor driven by a passion for science. Throughout school, he claimed victory in every science fair, earning him the title of National Inventor of the Year in 1972. Senior year brought love into his life with Holiday, but she would cheat on him with his best friend right before graduation. Devastated, Bill vanished, re-emerging in 1986 with a purchased skyscraper housing his secret laboratory. By 1988, he unveiled a black hole generating machine aimed to end the world. As the black hole formed, Bill's poignant message through speakers on his balcony echoed across the city with him saying, "Holiday, if you are out there, this is your fault." His machine's force intensified, pulling him into the void, making him vanish. Before the machine could cause too much damage, the police were able to enter his laboratory and unplug his machine, stopping the black hole from causing any more damage. Bill Ding, the once young prodigy turned evil scientist, was never seen again. What this woman did still leaves locals speechless 65 years later. In the small town of Goobersville, Indiana, in the year 1957, a chilling incident unfolded. Karen Noodleman, a 16-year-old girl with a haunting past, resided in an insane asylum. Known for causing the tragic loss of her family members, she was deemed dangerous after a lobotomy gone wrong when she was just 13. One eerie night, during the routine morning roll count, Karen was nowhere to be found in her cell. Panic ensued as the asylum doctors discovered a hidden hole behind her Marilyn Monroe poster. The entire facility went on high alert, and the police were immediately notified. Concern for the safety of Karen's remaining family members grew, particularly her younger brother, who was living with their grandparents. Multiple attempts to reach out to her grandparents went unanswered, deepening the sense of unease among the asylum staff and law enforcement. With a sense of urgency, the authorities rushed to Karen's grandparents' home. They pounded on the front door, yelling, "Police!" Uncertain of what they would find inside, someone finally opened the door, but it wasn't who they expected. As the police arrived at the door, They yelled "Police" to announce their presence. After a few minutes, a man answered the door. The police asked him if he was okay and if he had seen Karen Noodleman or any of her family members. The man informed them that the Noodlemans lived next door and apologized for the confusion. Upon reaching the actual Noodleman's house, they noticed that the front door was slightly cracked open. The police entered the home and called out, but received no response. They proceeded inside and found Karen at the top of the staircase. They asked her about the whereabouts of her grandparents and brother. With an unsettling grin, Karen replied, "They're already gone." She then fled from the police and hid somewhere upstairs. Despite searching for 30 minutes, the police could not locate her. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. As they were leaving, the police spotted Karen standing on the roof of the 3-story house. She yelled back at them, placing the blame on them, and then jumped. If you hear this ice cream truck, run. In the moonlit streets of 1950s Tampa, the mysterious melody of a creepy ice cream truck echoed through the quiet neighborhoods. Rodney and Bartholomew, newly arrived from New York, were lured by the eerie tune that pierced the silence of the night. Intrigued, the brothers sneaked out, chasing the elusive truck through the dimly lit streets. As they caught up, the ice cream truck remained indifferent to their presence. Bartholomew, fueled by curiosity, hurled a rock, shattering the rear window. A chilling pause followed before the truck began a slow reverse, unsettlingly heading toward the brothers. Panic set in as the side door creaked open, revealing a faceless man with only a mustache. Terrified, Rodney and Bartholomew sprinted back to their home, reaching their bedroom unscathed. The unsettling encounter remained a closely guarded secret until 1995, when Rodney, compelled by the past, penned a book recounting the spine-chilling night the faceless ice cream man visited Tampa's silent streets. This guy is the definition of creepy. In the quaint town of Chuckleberry, Delaware, in 1881, an eccentric old man named B.J. Worthy unveiled his mysterious museum to the public. Filled with eerie ancient artifacts, the museum itself was overshadowed by the unsettling presence of its owner. As visitor numbers dwindled, B.J. grew desperate, resorting to dark measures. Crafting trapdoors and hidden passages, B.J. lured unsuspecting guests into the depths of his museum's basement. Over the years, disappearances in the town multiplied, raising suspicions. In 1886, Detective Frank D. Tank went undercover to investigate the museum but never returned. The Chuckleberry police, fearing the worst, raided the museum. During the hours-long search, they would finally find the museum's basement. There they would discover the dark truth. In the basement, they would find the remains of the missing townspeople. Amidst the grim discoveries in the basement, officers found B.J. hiding in a wooden box and would arrest him. His chilling confession, "I just wanted some company," sent shivers down their spines. Weeks later, the infamous museum was demolished, and B.J. Worthy faced justice in prison, later passing away in 1889. The town of Chuckleberry would never be the same after this. This grandpa held a dark secret for over 50 years. In the quiet town of Goobersville, Indiana, there lived an old man named Walter White. Known for his kind and gentle nature, Walter was beloved by his children and grandchildren. Ever since his wife's passing from a stroke a few years prior, Walter found comfort in the company of his grandson Mikey. One weekend, while Mikey was staying over at his grandfather's house, he found himself exploring his grandfather's library. As he moved a book from the shelf, he stumbled upon a hidden door handle. Mikey couldn't resist the temptation to uncover the secrets behind the door. Silently, Mikey opened the secret door, revealing a staircase leading down to a dimly lit basement. As he descended, he discovered a collection of old newspapers from the 1960s. The articles spoke of a man wearing a goat mask who was responsible for taking the lives of over 36 people in Kentucky over the span of 7 years, and that he was never caught. Among the newspapers, Mikey found a storage container containing the very same goat mask mentioned in the articles. Shocked and confused, he realized that his grandfather had been hiding a dark secret. Suddenly, the sound of Walter's snoring ceased, and Mikey turned to see his grandfather standing at the top of the staircase. With a chilling smile, Walter whispered, "It's such a shame because you were my favorite grandson." This man was the real-life Homer Simpson. In the roaring 1920s of Stonetown, Illinois, Simon Cowbell built a donut empire that was worldwide famous. His success, however, crumbled on June 27, 1925, when a broken railing sent him plummeting 3 stories into a dough-filled vat, and he was not found until the next morning. Unbeknownst to his rescuers, the chemicals in the dough altered Simon's appearance. Panic ensued as the news of toxic dough and Simon's transformation spread to the public. Facing financial ruin, Simon returned to work, but whispers of the incident crippled his once flourishing business. 3 months later, his donut company closed its doors, sales plummeting by 99%. Bankruptcy loomed, and Simon sought refuge, hiding from the public eye and moving to Kansas and becoming a farmer. Fate, however, had another cruel turn. In May 1937, the infamous Dust Bowl swept over Simon's farm, and he would get trapped in his home. Sadly, he passed in the incident, but his rise and fall to fame will never be forgotten.